Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Real Talk with Brian Poduska. I am Lyndon Wilson and the creator of The Difference. In case you don't know what The Difference is, it is a media platform, radio, live stream, podcasting through several different social media platforms where we celebrate small business owners, entrepreneurs, independent contractors, your friends and your neighbors that are running their own business, working for themselves, and working hard within our communities to make the difference, and not only for themselves and their family, but for their neighbors, their friends, the community, and their industry. Our host today, I am the co-host. Our host today, Brian Poduska, is a small business owner, and he has created this show to really spotlight and highlight the different businesses and business owners within the communities that Brian himself serves. And so I'm going to introduce him in just a second, but I want to remind everybody that we have probably about 6 shows a week. We have a new series started called The Difference Makers, and in that series we bring on the small business owners. We mimic a lot what Brian is doing with his show. He's been so successful with it. It's been so impactful, and to kind of be cheesy here, it has made the difference for some small businesses that he associates with, that he works with, and that he wants to be able to support. Really important that we do. We hear all the time about shop local, hire local, buy local, but there's so many other ways that we can help the small businesses within our community, and one of those ways is just bringing awareness to who they are and what they're doing. And so I'm going to bring Brian in now. I'm going to let Brian talk a little bit about his business, and then he is going to take over, and he's going to introduce his guest, and we're going to get the show going. So having said that, let me bring in Brian. Good afternoon, Brian. How are you?
Good, Lyndon. How are you doing today?
Man, I can't complain. I
know that's a
always say
question.
that, but last week I was complaining. This week I feel so good. I'm not complaining at all anymore.
Yeah, I knew that was a loaded question when I asked it because, last we talked, and the last show that we had was last Friday in the midst of, Snowmageddon here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we did a quick, 15-minute PSA show for folks who might need contacts with contractors. So that's what we did last week, and since then, I know you've been through a kidney stone, and you were in the midst of a plumbing crisis at your house. So that was a loaded question. I guess I apologize for asking, knowing the answer.
Oh, that's okay. We all push through and somehow make it. So here I am. I'm still here, man. I'm still fighting and still going, and the kidney stone is long gone. I'll just say it that way. It's long gone, and the plumbing is fixed. Hopefully we don't get any more snow and freezing temperatures for at least another year.
No doubt about that. And the plumbing is fixed in more ways than one for you. So that's good to hear.
Oh man, that was a good setup, wasn't it? That was awesome. I didn't even think about that.
Well, hey, thanks for getting the show together in the tough times that we've been through. Hopefully we've got some normalcy. We have, for those who aren't in the DFW area, we've had wonderful weather this week, in the low 70s, upper 70s for most of the week. It's getting a little cooler today, but so we're all doing a lot better, I think. We, as Real Property Management, have been dealing with some fun as well. Burst pipes are extremely common and have been common over the last week and a half. So we have several properties that we're managing through that as well. So it's been a tough time for all of us here in the area for the last couple of weeks, but I think we're getting back on our feet, and that's actually what we're going to talk a little bit about today. Is 2 main themes. Those will be keeping perspective when you're dealt some tough times, and our 2 guests that we have on today are great examples of that. Their personalities and how they manage themselves and themselves with others is very applicable to that topic. And then secondly, we're going to talk about networking strategies and marketing strategies. So obviously networking would be part of your overall marketing strategy, but I've met both of these gentlemen through networking circles, and they have some unique marketing and I guess I'll call advertising techniques and strategies that have proven to gain a lot of eyeballs. So we'll bring them on here in a second. Real quickly, who I am, I'm Brian Poduska. I am the owner of Real Property Management Focus, where we focus on your real estate investments. So we are a full service property management company, helping investors from the property location, property purchase, obviously the property management piece, and the property disposition on the back end as you want to sell your property. So we've got some pretty cool tools unique to real property management called Wealth Optimizer, which helps analyze an investment property from every angle you can think of. So a lot of people look at real estate investments and say, hey, what's my cash flow? What's my cap rate? But there's a lot of benefits that are not accounted for if you're not looking at it deeply enough. So we have a holistic tool, again, called Wealth Optimizer that helps you along with that. So anyway, that's enough about real property management. I do want to we'll bring both our guests in at the same time because I think we're going to kick off with the topic of, keeping perspective during these tough times. But our guests today are Ted Halliday, who is the owner of Glass Guru of Frisco. You may have seen him on TikTok if you're young enough, but he's joining us today. And we have Chris Parrish, who is the sales boss. I'm going to call him boss in quotes of Pross Construction, Roofing and Construction. So let's bring those guys in and let's have a little discussion. What's up, guys?
Hey, Brian. Hey, Lyndon.
Hello, Ted. I think you're still on mute there. There we go.
Yeah, sorry. Glad to be here. Appreciate it, Brian.
It's all right.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on. And Chris, you were frozen up there for a minute. I'm not sure. It looks like you're moving now, so that's a good thing. Yeah, all right. Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for joining us today, guys. Pleasure to have you on. I think you guys have the right mindset for the first topic of the show today, being, perseverance and keeping perspective through crazy times. We obviously the last year and a half has been absolutely crazy, given the macro environment that we're all dealing with. But, the last week and a half has thrown some challenges our way here in the DFW area. And Ted, I'm not sure if you've had anything specifically impact your business with the cold snap and the snow. But Chris, I know you have, because I've reached out to you independently to help a neighbor out. So I guess let's start with you, Chris. How have you been slammed at all over the last week and a half, and how have you dealt with that over the last week and a half?
Well, short answer: leaks. Roof leaks are happening, homes and businesses, and because none of our construction is really built for a bunch of ice and a bunch of snow. It happens very rarely, and this was in like a once in a century storm, I guess. And so ice dams were created on a lot of these roofs, and so I spent some time helping some neighbors and some friends knock that ice off before it started thawing and getting inside the house. So yeah, I've dealt with that a couple times, and so your roof is meant to keep water out. That's the sole purpose of it, really. And so once that water gets in, it has to get repaired, fixed. Luckily, a lot of this can be done simply by just knocking the ice off the roof, knocking the snow off the roof. So we did that a lot last week, and just helped out a lot of people. That's essentially what we do.
Did you hop up on the roof with a sled so you can easily get off?
No, I hopped up there with a sleigh and a bunch of reindeer.
Yeah,
they helped me get up there.
Santa Chris. All right. Good stuff. Well, yeah, no. So looking at it for the last year, right? So we've obviously been through a lot as a world, really. So what I guess main question would be, what is the one or two things that have helped you keep perspective and stay grounded through all this craziness?
Oh man. Well, you had to ask me that question, didn't you? So I'm not a preacher or anything like that, but I am a man of faith, and so I do know that it says in the book of James that to consider it pure joy when you get to experience trials because they create strength and perseverance. And as a man, that's what I want to model for my wife, for my kids. Oh man, I just got a dump load of hearts and thumbs up there. Okay, so very faith-filled podcast going on here. So yeah. And so when things are tough, when business isn't really coming where you want to go, or COVID has you restricted for what you want to do, or this ice storm of the century has you locked inside, what are you going to do? Are you gonna cry? Are you gonna whine? Are you gonna moan about it, or are you gonna put on your jeans and put on your boots and go to work? So I mean, I want to live my life for joy, and so. Consider it joy when you get to go through trials and tribulations and stuff.
Well, and we've kicked that topic around quite a bit over the last year on the show, and it's the adage of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and iron sharpens iron has been a theme that we've kind of reiterated time and time again. So I totally agree with you. Ted, I'm going to turn it your way. Have you been over the last week and a half dealing with anything in particular with the weather, or is it still was it still business as usual for you on the business front? Now, obviously at home, everybody is trying to just maintain their warmth and some sanity and pipes not breaking and things like that. But from a business perspective, how are you guys impacted?
So with the snow and the ice, we didn't want our guys out driving on it. So we were shut down, I guess, until Thursday. We got our estimators back into the shop on Thursday to go out and do estimates because we have the smaller transit vehicles that are front wheel drive, and we're able to handle that a little better. And then Friday we were back to normal. So it's basically rescheduling everything and making sure that the issues that they had with their windows were going to be all right to delay our visit. But other than that, we not being open, it was our only impact during the cold.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good to hear. I'm going to throw the same question your way on the macro scale over the last year and a half. How have you kept perspective and kept a positive attitude?
So a lot of things have been impacted with COVID. We're really getting kind of hit hard now with manufacturing because we do the full window replacements. And so that's really, normally it takes anywhere from 3 to 8 weeks, and we're seeing it take up to about 6 months turnaround just because of the shortage in labor. And I know that it seems like everybody is at their end with their patients. I mean, so it's so important for us as a business to try to understand the perspective of those, our potential customers and our existing customers, because they call in, they're frustrated, they've had it. And so the best thing that we can do is when they call in, because we get a lot of people will call in and say, hey, can you guys come out? And we're like, hey, we're 2 weeks out, and they get mad, hang out, so I'm going somewhere else. And we stay calm with them on the phone because we know at some point they're going to call us back because everyone else is in the same boat. And more than not, they all call back and say, okay, let's get on the schedule. So it's trying to understand their frustration and not add to it. We don't want to add and push them beyond what they can handle. So a lot of times we just got to listen to them, let them vent. And, we want to be their supplier for glass. We want to take care of them. And so we only can do that by, basically shutting up and listening.
No, that's awesome. And we're all kind of in the same business of, most of the time we get a phone call because something's wrong, right? Like Chris with a roof or a construction need, Ted, you've got broken glass, or a window they can't see through. In my case, I've got, something that broke in a property that we manage, or and oftentimes the calls that I take from tenants are negative, and then the calls that I have to make out to my owners are, I always get the phone, they see my number pop up and they're like, all right, what is it now? How much is it going to cost me? That's the first thing out of some of my owners' mouths. But I think that's great perspective to say, hey, just sit back and listen, know the place that people are coming from, and their individual situation, and then on the macro level, a lot of stuff going on. So you sit there, you listen, and then you figure out what are your needs and how can I service them. So I think that's awesome perspective.
Hey, just real quick, just kind of an example, we'll get someone that we might have a delay in some of their glass coming in. and they'll call and just go off on our office lady saying, you guys need to get your ass together and just let it unload. And all of a sudden I'm trying to put the office ladies back together saying, hey, it's all right. And most of the time they call back and apologize. And they say something else was going on. And I unfortunately took it out on you guys. But because we were patient and listened and didn't fire back and weren't trying to be rude or stick it back to them, we just listen and say, okay, I'm sorry for your frustration. How can we help? How can we fix this? They'll call back.
Yeah,
That's
that's a great example. And that, that goes to your overall training of your staff and the quality of people that you hire as well. So, no, that's a great example. So what I'd like to do now, we'll transition into kind of our next topic. And what I'm going to do is we're going to read an ad spot. We've got a couple awesome sponsors for the show, 3 to be exact. So let's, Lyndon, if you can, if you've got Greg Holberg's information handy for Liberator Insurance, we'll put that up on the screen. And we'll give a little love to Greg Holberg, owner of Liberator Health Insurance. Greg has been on the show in the past, and he's also a sponsor of, or he's a difference maker, right? He's on the Difference Maker show as part of the larger Difference platform. And Greg has an awesome health insurance platform, I guess you can call it, or offering. It really puts the choice and the decision-making power in your hands as the policyholder. It's also very affordable. It's very unique in the industry, and when he came on the show and talked about, walk the audience through it, it was pretty eye-opening for Lyndon, I know, and for myself, I had heard it previously. But, I'm going to give an example. He's got a Liberator Deal of the Week, an example of customers that he's helped along the way. So in this case, single professional, $222 per month, and it includes dental for their plan. I can speak to what a government offering or plan would look like, and it's at least double that. So not only can Greg save you money, but he can put the power of the decision of your healthcare back into your hands as a client or as a customer. So that is Greg's offering. If you want to get a hold of him, he's got his information scrolling at the bottom of the screen. He can be reached at 214-886-4688. You can text him at 469-573-4646. Check out his website, or you can see his email at the bottom of the screen. So check him out if you're looking for health insurance. Even if you have signed up for a government plan, Greg knows how you can get yourself out of that situation and get yourself into a plan that may work better for you.
Absolutely. So, one thing, if you don't mind me jumping in real quick too, because I think this, one thing that I really appreciate and love about Greg Holberg and how he runs his business is he's willing to sit there and help you understand what you currently may be having, and if there's any point or where you may be overpaying. A lot of times we overpay, and there's reasons why we overpay. And it's not necessarily always nefarious, just sometimes we overpay. And Greg is really very informed about how to find, he just has tips and tricks on how to find the lowest cost for the medical procedures that you may be having. And so I didn't know this, most people don't, but there's actually a code book out there, much like the Kelly Blue Book when you're buying and selling your car. There's actually one for medical procedures. And if you understand the true cost, then you're able to negotiate. And that's kind of what his program does. But he also shares that information with you so that you can be informed going in and save a lot of money. So that was my 2 cents worth.
Well, that was worth a hell of a lot more than 2 cents. Yeah, thanks for articulating that, because it's that really epitomizes putting the power in your hands as a consumer. And you're right, Greg is absolutely a great person to he does take the time to sit there with you and educate you on how to do it. So not only does he provide you the tools to do it, but he kind of walks you through the ways in which to do it. So
Right.
if you want to see Greg, check him out on the Difference Makers show, which is when, Landon?
We have them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They start at 11 a.m. on both days, and also at 3 p.m. on both days. And we'll usually have 3 different co-hosts that will have their guests. They'll each have a 30-minute segment. And I'm basically stealing Brian Poduska's idea. I'm going to give him credit for that. But just promoting their relationships with other small businesses, and just really trying to bring brand awareness. I mean, that's what we all need as a small business owner. And even if you're not a small business owner, if you know one, if you've got a neighbor that's one, maybe you got a family member that's one, if you ask them if they could benefit by more people knowing about who they are and what they do, they're going to say yes. And that's what the difference is about, is helping our friends, our buddies, our family, whoever it may be that's out there busting their tail, trying to be successful within their business. We want to help them any way we can. Quick pat on the back for folks like Brian and everybody else. We kicked this thing off last year, right after COVID, after the 2-week quarantine that has lasted now a year. We kicked this off, and these guys, folks like Brian, many others, we had over 500,000 viewers last year. So if you're a small business owner and you'd like to at least 500,000 people to kind of see what it is you're doing, let us know. We can help you.
Bring it on, right? Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Well, hopefully make it rain too, but yeah, Johnny Manziel style.
Yep.
Anyway, let's move into the next segment. What I want to do, so I just briefly introduced Ted and Chris and who they are, what they do, but I want these guys to really share, what their passion is, how they got into the business they're in, maybe a little background on you guys as a person, ideologies, things like that. So I'll let you guys kind of share that information. Ted, let's start with you. Tell us about yourself.
Okay. So believe it or not, I just turned 50 years old a couple days ago. And
happy birthday.
Yeah, thanks, man. But I guess I've always been attracted to business. I grew up in a home where it was all about education, go work for someone, have a good, secure job. And it never felt good to me. And so I was always drawn outside of the formal education. I believe education is extremely important. And so I've always been attracted to that. I remember even when I was in college, I got approached to run some guy's Xerox agency and loved it. Loved to go out and meet people and show them the products. And I just kind of fell in love with it. And I eventually got into the wireless industry, where I became a dealer for the different wires carriers in the state that I lived, which I did grow up in Idaho. And so that makes me like a cow walking in tall grass. Utterly thrilled to be on this show. Look, that's some dad joke. I throw that right in.
There we go.
My wife's watching. But so, and that's kind of the route I took. Is I took the route of I wanted to be my own boss, wanted to do my own thing, and so that's what I did prior to doing what I do now in the glass. I've been doing this glass now for about 12 years, and so prior to coming here, I lived in Vegas, but my headquarters was in Utah, and so I had a partner, and they didn't want to keep expanding because we had contracts with Dish Network and some different mobile carriers, and you don't see a whole lot of that anymore. Most of them are all corporately owned. And so I eventually sold out to my partner and his brothers, and my wife and I and kids packed our bags and came to Texas. We had no clue what we were going to do. And so we came here, and the house that we live in now, we didn't even see it. We signed the papers in Las Vegas and drove here and moved into it.
Wow.
So we just kind of came out here blind, just always was attracted to Texas. And so I started to do the same thing that I did up there, but it didn't work real well here. It failed miserably. And so all the money I made on my sell, because we tried to do custom homes as well, and that didn't work out so well. And I didn't want to go get another job in the corporate world, because last time I tried that, I got fired. and running my own show ever since. And so I noticed I had a lawnmower in the garage. I started a landscape business, mowing lawns. because I wanted to avoid working for somebody, and got it going big enough to where I asked my younger brother if he'd want to come out and help me run it. And so he came out, we ran this thing together, and we were doing a lot of lawns, but he couldn't handle the heat. So he kept getting sick. We're like, man, we got to find something different. And so I kept my eyes open for another business opportunity and saw that the Glass Guru had an advertisement for opening a franchise here in Texas, listed on Craigslist. And they're based out of Roseville, California. Here shortly, going to be headquartered out of Louisville. They're moving here. And so we called them and decided, hey, this is something we want to do. We didn't know anything about glass. Other than we had a window washing business and saw all that fog in the window. And the thing that drew us to the Glass Guru is they had a technique where they could get the moisture out of the window. I'm like, man, that's pretty awesome. So we eventually sold the landscape business and bought the franchise here in this area. And we were the first ones in Texas. And so that's kind of how I got where I got, is the nutshell version of it.
Oh, no, that's awesome. And that's so
really
you're a
cool.
serial entrepreneur is what I'll call you, which is awesome. There's a little nugget in there that you said that when you guys moved to Texas and started up, I couldn't remember exactly which business it was, but you tried what worked for you in Utah or Vegas, I should say, that didn't work or failed in Texas. What's your thought behind that?
It was just a different dynamic here. When we started our business there with Dish Network, they didn't have a lot of local channels in a lot of these areas. And so what we did is we were really good friends with the people at Dish Network, and they'd say, hey, we're getting ready to turn locals on in Reno or some other place. And I'd just send crews with trucks, and we'd go out and spend a weekend selling, 100 to 500 satellite subscriptions a weekend. And so by the time we got here, local channels wasn't a new thing. And so I think the saturation of people already getting it, it just didn't work well.
Okay.
We had success, but not enough to keep it rolling.
Gotcha. So it sounds like it was more of a kind of an external factor that, the market, it wasn't necessarily a Texas versus Las Vegas cultural thing. It was more of a regional external business factor that.
Yeah, and it was a hard nugget to swallow that I was successful with it once and couldn't make it happen again.
Yeah. Well, it's just like everything else, right? As things change and as the market change, you have to adapt. So, no, that's cool. I mean, that's I love that entrepreneurial spirit that I agree as far as the education goes, and I think everybody should get as educated as they want to be and as possible. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to real world, I've been, we've talked about this on the show before. I was in corporate America for 20 years, with one company for 17 of those. So I was in that rat race for a long time, and learned just invaluable things. And what I see it as is it created a foundation of how to do things the right way and learning of how to run a business. And you're just adapting that from, a larger corporate environment to something that you have absolute control over on a local or a less macro level. So I love the entrepreneurial spirit, and the fact that you've had it since, you were a kid is awesome. So, all right, awesome. Well, thanks for that intro. What I do want to do is tap into our next topic. But before we do that, Chris, I'd love you to introduce yourself, talk about how you got to where you're at with Pross. And I know you have an awesome similar entrepreneurial spirit in you as well. I know you've had other businesses. So tell us about yourself as a person and as a business owner and driver.
Okay. Thanks, Brian. Hey, I love listening to your story, Ted. That's awesome, man. I don't meet many people from Idaho, so welcome to Texas, y'all. So I was born and raised here in Texas. I was born in Houston. I'm not gonna go through the whole story, but I worked here as a teacher in Frisco for Frisco ISD for several years. I love working with kids, love education, love learning. Didn't really love teaching to a particular system. So kind of like Ted, you know, I made my way out of that. And then I got into personal training, sold supplements on the side, and then worked my way up to get certified to teach CrossFit. So I was a full-time CrossFit coach at a local box here in Frisco for a while. Then the owners decided to sell to another guy, and he had his own kind of set of plans, and so I was not part of that set of plans, and so I was, you know, sent out on my butt. And it was the first time in my life I didn't have a job. I was like, what am I going to do here? So, you know, I kind of sat and prayed about it for a little bit, and, you know, felt like God was telling me to get into sales, do something with sales, get into business of some kind. And I'd always fought, not always, but like I never really gave it that much of a thought. I mean, I graduated from college in 06, and so then 07 and 08, you know how the economy was, all the different sales jobs I tried to get into seemed to just kind of fold. And so I told myself, I suck at sales, I'm getting into education, and that's it. Well, it's kind of funny how, you know, life kind of does a little 180 on you. And so anyway, I worked on my resume. I lived on LinkedIn for about a week, just trying to set up appointments and interviews and meet HR people. And I made a list of things that I would sell, and I made a list of things that I wouldn't sell. At the top of the list of things I wouldn't sell was roofs, because I was scared of ladders, scared of falling. Again, funny God has a sense of humor, doesn't he?
Man, you've come a long way, my friend.
So I sent an email out to a team at church, and I let the guys know. I was like, hey, so I could use some prayers, but I could also use an opportunity. So if any of you guys know of anybody who's hiring or looking to, you know, hire somebody at the ground level that's just wants to learn and can do just about anything, let me know. Got a lot of emails back saying, hey, brother, you know, we praying for you, or send me your resume. I'll get it off to whoever. But one guy actually had the gumption to call me, and that's important. And so he called me. He let me know that his best friend owned a roofing and construction company. He just took over full ownership of it, and he was looking to bring on some sales guys. And I showed him my list, and I said, bro, I don't do roofs. But because you called me, you had the respect enough to call me, I'll go meet with this guy. So I drove down to the office in Grapevine on a Friday, sat down with my boss and sales manager, and they just kind of crafted a vision of the business, and, you know, let me know that, you know, they would have complete confidence in me, but it was such an easy breezy thing. So I just decided to sign up, I'll just figure it out how to do it on the way. And then I called my wife and I said, hey, I broke our rule, and I signed up for a job without talking about it first. And so, but she had confidence in me too. And so I just learned how to climb, learned how to look for damage. And you know, that was about 4 years ago. And so it's been a great career change for me. I've definitely been blessed. You know, I'm able to, you know, segue and move into kind of some more commercial, which is a completely different ball game, is working with business owners and, you know, managers of properties and stuff like that. But it's been rewarding. It's a lot of fun. It gives me a lot of freedom, which is important for me. I've got 3 kids and a wife, and for some reason they all like to hang out with me. So I definitely didn't want to be married to the job, you know, like I had to do when I was teaching. So this is it's really good. It's really a lot of fun. I get to help a lot of people, you know, because just like last week showed, you know, when weather comes down and it's unexpected, it can create a lot of chaos. And I think in order to, you know, if you can kind of be the calm for somebody else in that chaos, then you can really prove a lot of value. So.
No, that's awesome,
Right.
and that you're exactly right, because obviously we're entering into your hopefully soon to be busy season. That didn't come to fruition last year, but the monster storms we have here in Texas, and they often bring hail, which is hail on roofs. There's a holiday joke for you.
Ted, you gotta help
That was
him
a
out.
terrible dad joke. That was the worst dad joke ever.
Yeah, I can bring it, Ted. Watch out. I'm coming for you, man. But no, so you're exactly right. In those tough times like we've been through the last week and a half, you need somebody to help you through them, and you need somebody you can trust. And that trust and that word of mouth spreads like wildfire, especially in those sort of times. So that's a great point. So thanks for your intro, Chris, and the background, and Ted as well. What I want to do is segue into a discussion on marketing and networking, because that's how I met both of you guys, through networking, and then through that I've learned that you guys have some really unique marketing opportunities and advertising opportunities that we can share with our audience. Before we get into that, what I'd like to do is mention our next. Let's do our next two sponsors, Lyndon, both Carrie and Daniel, if we could.
All right, we'll go Carrie first.
Carrie
Yeah, we'll
first.
go Carrie first.
Okay, awesome. So next sponsor here is Carrie Cook. She has been on the show. She is a realtor with the Cavalier Realty Group, Keller Williams. She is awesome. She has provided many a statistic over the last several shows about what kind of a market we're in. We're in a seller's market, if you haven't heard, and it is crazy. So if you're even thinking about listing your home, or thinking about, hey, I want to downsize, I want to upsize, whatever the decision may be, Carrie has all the information to make that most beneficial for you as a homeowner. Carrie doesn't only do listings, she helps out buyers as well, which I can attest is a crazy time right now as well. So she will help be that calm in the storm that is the seller's market if you are a buyer. So if you need a realtor and somebody who is trusted, somebody who will help you and guide you along the way, please reach out to Carrie Cook, Cavalier Realty Group with Keller Williams, 972-342-5763. And then secondly, her husband, Daniel Cook, who is the owner of Cook DFW Roofing and Restoration. So Carrie also plays a role in this company as well, but Daniel is the one swinging the hammer and the one doing most of the sales. So Daniel has been on the show before, and he recently started up his business last December and has really come out of the gates on fire here. I know he's super busy, which is great. He's going to be busier, hopefully, as we pray for hail for you and Chris as well. But what he focuses on, he is a boutique roofer, I will call him. He will hold your hand throughout the process. He has some unique drone technology that he uses, and he is focused at this point on residential. He will get into commercial as well, but if you're looking for somebody who can really give you that boutique offering as a roofer, please look up Cook DFW Roofing and Restoration. Daniel Cook, the owner. Phone number 1-833-COOK, COOK -DFW. So 1-833-COOK DFW. You can see on the screen there all the offerings that they have as far as services go. So call him out. He'll come up there for a free inspection and walk you through what your options are and hold your hand the entire way through the process with insurance. All right. Now, with that being said, let's talk about networking. So we're actually kind of in a forum of networking right now, right? This is part of what we're trying to do with the difference is really get the focus on our business partners, get your faces and your personalities, your human beings, right, out in front of our audience. As Landon said, we had over 500,000 views on the show last year. So this, I guess, technically could be considered a form of networking. Chris, I met you through Master Networks, which is a large networking group, all over the country. I think it was founded here in DFW or maybe Minnesota and then spread here to DFW. And so we have a large contingent of Master Networks folks out there here in DFW. You are the president of the chapter that we are in together. I know you're in a couple other chapters. So Chris is extremely active in Master Networks. Similar networking group would be like a BNI type group. Ted, I know you're an active member of the Frisco Chamber of Commerce, among others. we actually met, unbeknownst to both of us, through that venue probably just over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. But then I reached out to you after my son had put a hockey puck through our leaded glass front door because he was firing at a net that he strategically placed in front of the front door. So it wasn't a full like real hockey puck regulation. It was a plastic hockey puck, but he's now 15 years old and has developed a little bit of a slap shot. So he was able to put that plastic puck through the leaded glass door. So I reached out to you, and I know you, at the time I didn't know, but you don't do leaded glass. So you forwarded me to a business contact of yours that does do leaded glass, and he was able to help us out. And that's how I remembered you, through the networking experience of Frisco Chamber of Commerce. So long-winded way of saying that we met through networking as well. We also got connected for the show through one of the difference makers, who's Michelle Burleson. So that's one of our the same business partners that we have. But so that's a long-winded way to say that we're all active networkers, right? What other, Ted, I guess I'll ask you first, what other networks and how do you do your networking, and just share with the audience how you go about that?
Okay. So I guess first off, I need to state that I haven't always done networking. I guess it's something that I'm more of an inward type of individual, so it's hard for me to be outgoing. And so luckily with the Glass Guru, they have mentors that we work with on a regular basis. If we choose to, if we want to succeed and be more successful than some of the others, we choose to work with these guys. And I have a guy that I work with named Rob Lopez from our corporate office. Our business was struggling, and we were on the point where we're not sure if we're going to be able to keep our doors open. And in talking with him, he brought up, you probably should go out and start networking, like go talk to people. And I'm like, what? I don't want to do that. I don't want to go out of my way and talk to someone. I'd rather just be quiet and really not to get to know anybody. And so I started thinking about it. I was like, okay, I'll go start joining the chambers, because I've been asked to join those over the years and I've never done it. So I went and kind of went out of my way and met people there and realized that I needed to take it to another step and go out and meet these individuals on a one-on-one basis. And something that helped with that is we had to make sure our internal operation was working, like taking care of our employees, because that's huge. We want our employees to come to work and enjoy being there. We want them to know that we care about them. And if they don't think that or feel that, then they're not going to go convey that to our customer, who we want to know we care about them. And so if that isn't in place, then all my networking efforts are really to null, because they're going to find out real quick that we're not a real good company, because we don't say what we say and aren't doing what we're supposed to be doing. And so we take care of our employees. They're number one. And if we take care of them, they're going to treat the customer really well. So when I'm out networking and meeting people, I don't have any fear that one of my guys or gals are going to show up and be a turd. Because we don't want them to be that. We want our customers to know that we're there to take care of them. And we're not perfect by any means. But I guess just putting myself out there, making myself uncomfortable. And I figure if I can do things that are uncomfortable on a regular basis, but now I've come to absolutely enjoy it, because I go out and my whole focus is on that person. I don't care to tell them about anything about glass. I'm there to learn about them personally, about what their business does, because most people want to talk about themselves. And so let them do it. And because of that push, where I'm not just saying, hey, this is what we do, this is what we offer. I'm just there to learn about them and figure out what's making them successful, because I'm learning while they're talking.
Yeah, amen to that. It's we've said on the show many times, if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing, right? As a person, as a business, just in life, right? You have to put yourself in situations that make you uncomfortable. And I would say, I don't know, I'm just going on a limb here, but I would say the majority of people that are in networking groups, or at least half, I would say, are not natural. I want to get up in front of people and talk about my business because that's what I really like doing, right? It's an art that's learned over time. obviously you get more comfortable with it the more you do it. But it's the people that, have the fear of doing it and go out and do it and then realize, oh, this ain't so bad. Or, hey, I'm now meeting X number of people per week, where before I was meeting, X minus a lot. So no, that's awesome. And I guess quite a follow-up question on that is, so your business was struggling up until the point where you got into the networking groups. How did it do after that? And how long did it take to, obviously it took off, but how long did it take to do that?
So in 2018, we were probably about $90,000 in debt. And by the end of 2020, we had paid off all that $90,000. And I contribute most of that to meeting with people, letting them know who we are, feeling our character, that we want to take care of them, that we're going to try our best to always do the right thing. And if we can't, be loaded with a referral, because, I don't want to just say I can't. I say I can't, but I know somebody. I want to connect them, keep them going, keep them that warm feeling that we really care. Because we want people to call us, hey, a good roofer? Boom, we do, right there, Chris.
No, exactly.
I want to jump in on that real quick, because I think that's a really important point, Ted, and something you said also, Brian. I think sometimes in these networking groups, I've been doing this for a long time, I think we all get kind of burned out on them because we hear the sales pitch all the time. None of us want to be sold and hear the same sales pitch. We want to give ours. We don't necessarily want to hear everybody else's. But what I think that you just said, Ted, and I mean, this is really the first time it's hit me like this, is you said, I know a good roofer. I think when you get to know people well, what you're really saying is, I know a good person that happens to be a roofer. And that's what I think makes the big impact when we are endorsing or we are referring someone. I happen to know a great person that also does property management. I know a great person that also does glass replacement and all the things like that. People listen to that. I think that it's just kind of sometimes the way we present it. What do you guys think about that?
Definitely.
100%. Spot on. And it's the old adage that you do business with people you know, like, and trust. And it goes down to, I know a great person who happens to do whatever. And that's, as far as networking goes, I always approach meeting people either in a networking environment or on a one-on-one basis with the approach of, we may be able to do business together, we may not. That's not first and foremost for me. It's, I need to understand who you are, what you do. So if I'm in a different venue and I can, the wires get connected in my head that this person in another setting needs this service, I have somebody who I can put you in contact with. So that's how I approach every networking group that I go to. Every person that I meet is, how can I help make connections beyond what's in front of me right here? Because ultimately that's, if you build that, if you go into it with that mindset and build that relationship with like-minded people, then, that's where the real fruits of the networking labor come in.
Yeah. One thing too,
Brian, I mean, we're not connected just because he does property management and I do roofs, and they go hand in hand. We're also not connected just because we're in a networking group together, because we only see each other once a week. The real reason why we're connected is because we're both huge Chicago Cubs fans. We wouldn't have known that unless we didn't talk about stuff other than work, right? So it's exactly right. And I couldn't think of anybody else to refer business to other than Brian, just because, shoot, we can talk about the Cubs or the Bears and go grab a beer and watch a game. And that's living life, right? I want
have to switch your hats, Chris, right now. Just take Pross off and put the Cubs hat on.
This one fit me. This is an old one, but this one was signed by Kevin Tapani. The pitcher.
I remember Kevin Tapani. That was what?
Yeah, it's got Kevin Tapani on it.
Oh, that's dirty.
I got a Ryan Sandberg and Chili Davis.
That's awesome. Yeah. So despite the fact that Chris grew up in the Houston area, he's got the right sports affiliations, because obviously a Cub fan, he's a Bears fan, and also a Blackhawks fan, right? You got
the Hawks.
Yeah,
they're on a roll. And if I still watch the NBA, I would be a Bulls fan, but that has not intrigued me lately.
Yeah, well, that's a tough
Yeah.
road to hoe for anybody, even if you're a diehard Chicagoan like me. But I had the joys of growing up in the Jordan era, so
Same.
you know, the Bulls' roots run deep in me. No, that's awesome. So, kind of circling back on our networking topic. So, yeah, Chris, obviously we've met in or I guess through Master Networks, but what other networking stuff do you do outside of Master Networks?
Not really a ton. I get invited to go to happy hours and meet and greets, and there's the chamber or whatever. But there's like 20 different roofers in the chamber. It'd be just kind of like throwing a fishing pole in the ocean, basically. So I meet with people. I have my network for Master Networks. I got networks through like church and the gym and stuff like that. And I just go, hey, let's go grab a cup of coffee and let's sit down. So most of my networking is done outside of the groups. Like I want to sit down and get to know somebody, right? Ted hit the nail on the head when he's talking about like, I already know everything about myself. I want to know about you, right? And people like talking about themselves. And so that's how to help build trust and credibility is if somebody knows that you've got, you know about them, then they probably have your interests in mind because they know they know about what you might be hiding. You know what I mean? Not that you're hiding anything bad, but nobody knows that I'm from Houston or nobody knows that I like the Cubs unless we've talked about it. And so those are personal things. Those are important things. And when somebody knows something personal about you, then that helps build that bridge of trust.
No doubt.
And it takes a lot of trust when somebody's money.
No doubt about it. Awesome. Well, that's what I want to talk about in networking. And I know you guys have that mindset, and I just wanted you guys to share that. So you did a great job of communicating that. What I do want to bring in is more the marketing strategy and the advertising side and what you guys do on that front. Because I know, Ted, we're going to start with you. I don't want to steal your thunder, but my kids even know about you because of the one tactic that we've talked about. So why don't you share what you do from an advertising perspective to get your name out there?
So that was another thing that I was told to do. I went to a lot of marketing networking things where they talked about marketing, but it was also a networking event. And I'd listen to what these guys said that talked about that ran marketing businesses, how to market. And one of the things they told me to do is make raw videos. People associate and enjoy those raw videos the most than those polished corporate looking type videos. And I was like, man, I got to make some videos. I don't even know if I want to hear myself or even see myself. So I started doing it. And the first video I ever made, I made it, posted it, and never watched it. Because I didn't want to see what I looked like, or I didn't even want to see it. But I kept doing it and got response from it. And I just became more and more comfortable with it because I'm passionate about what I do. And I think we have a great product. And so
well, and so I've seen you on social media. I've seen you on Facebook, and you post some of your. You didn't mention this, but this is how my 15-year-old boy Will came to me, and he goes, "Hey, Dad," because he knows I participate in networking circles. He's like, "Hey, Dad, this Glass Guru dude in Frisco?" He said, "I've seen him on TikTok." I'm like, yeah, I do know the Glass Guru, and as a matter of fact, we're going to get him on the show here and coming up. This was a few weeks ago, and the fact that my son, who has nothing to do with it, because let me back up. The reason he noticed you on TikTok as opposed to all the other crap that he looks at out there is you do a series of dad jokes, which they're dad jokes, right? So. Some people consider them funny. I love them. They're great. And because of that, my son always busts my chops about, another dad joke from Dad. Well, he's like, so that's what connected him. He heard your dad jokes and he's like, hey, I know this guy, the Glass Guru, who does dad jokes on TikTok.
Yeah. So I don't do the normal videos that they have on there. I tried joining TikTok, I guess, a couple years ago, and it just was too much for me. So I shut my account down. But recently we had our annual convention with our corporate office, and one of the guys that they had as a guest speaker says, "You need to get on TikTok." I'm like, "Oh man!" So I didn't even hesitate. I just went and did it, and before I knew it, I had like 50,000 likes, and it was all based on I would do a picture with our logo and the dad joke, and then our little jingle, which I'll share it to you. I'm not going to sing it. See if you guys can hear
Come
it.
on, Ted, sing it for us, buddy.
Store, repair, replace the glass guru.
Did you hear that?
Not really.
Yep.
I think you need to.
Yeah, you need to follow that up though.
Okay, so it's restore, repair, replace the glass guru. So the kids on TikTok, they went nuts for that jingle, and a lot of the kids would make their own little videos and send them to me, and I'd download them, and then I'd upload them and tag them in it, and they thought it was awesome.
So it's the dad jokes and the jingles that are catching the attention. And I will say that's a brilliant marketing strategy because, you know, a lot of the glass repairs that you have, I'm sure, are driven by kids putting, obviously, hockey pucks in my son's case, or baseballs or basketballs or whatever through a front window, right? Yeah. So what that gives the kid the power to go back to mom or dad and say, you know, I did it again. I put a baseball through the front window, but I know this great contact, the glass guru. I met him on TikTok. We'll just go there. He'll cut you a deal, right, mom or dad?
Yeah, and they're awesome. And I know.
Hey, Brian, I got a quick question for you. I don't want to change gears too fast, but when your son put or busted out the front glass with a non-regulation hockey puck, were you more mad or more proud?
Well,
Yeah, be honest.
had it been regular glass, I wouldn't even been mad at all. It would have been okay. That's, you know, whatever, a couple $100. It's not so bad. So to answer your question, I guess I was mad because I knew the price tag was going to be high, but then I also was even more proud because it was leaded glass. I'm like, damn, that's all right. I had a kid.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, isn't it?
All those lessons are finally paying off. So yeah, okay. So we've got TikTok, we've got social media, and that's all stuff that, again, Ted, you weren't comfortable doing up front. It's just obviously you are now because, you know, I think most of the stuff that you put out there is pretty damn funny, and the stuff that isn't is funny just because of that.
Yeah.
So it's, again, getting out of the comfort zone and doing something that you're not used to. And how many likes do you have now? I know you got a ton.
I think I'm close to like 160,000 likes and about 6,000 followers.
6,000 followers for a
that's
very
cool.
localized and focused in the Frisco area company. That's awesome.
I keep it wholesome. I don't swear. And I try to, every once in a while, I'll do a serious post, but most of them are just corny dad jokes with humor. Because I get asked a lot if I support this, if I support that, or what do you think about this? And I said, bottom line is God does not love one human above another.
Amen. No, that's awesome. So that's great, and I wanted to make sure we covered that because I love the story of my son who's 15 years old knowing who the glass guru is just because he saw it on TikTok. So Chris, do you have any marketing tactics or strategies that you guys do with Pros or that you do in particular to that's different from the competition or that drives a lot of business for you guys?
Yeah. So like, sorry, I don't know if you hear that. They're doing some construction in my house. So we don't pay for
I love it.
we don't get a lead service or whatever. Instead, I take roofies. It's a roof selfie. It's a selfie on the roof. So, it all started, when I first started, I would take a picture and I'd send it to my wife to let her know I was okay. And so then she would plug it on her Instagram, and it got us some business. So whenever I'm off, sometimes I forget. Sometimes I don't want to drop it out of my pocket, but yeah, I'll take a roofie. So now when you hear it, you don't think of it. Sorry guys, it's real loud in my house. I don't know if you can hear it or whatever. They're drilling anyway. But I do have to leave, so I'm gonna bow out gracefully while I'm ahead.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for joining us, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much for inviting me on. Lyndon, Ted, great to meet you. Brian, look forward to talking
Nice
you
to
again
meet
soon.
you.
Bye, guys.
See you,
Thanks
man.
so much.
Take care, buddy.
Bye.
Well, with that, I think we are up against it on the time here, but that's great show today. It was obviously we're running over, so that's it's always good that we've got awesome stuff to talk about. Ted, thanks for being on today.
Heck yeah.
Love hearing your story. Thanks for sharing it to the audience. I guess we'll see you on TikTok if not sooner in an in-person meeting. But thanks for being on today, Lyndon. Thanks as usual for hosting. Everybody out there, check us out next Thursday, 1 p.m. Every single week, we're out here with new guests and new topics. So until then, we will see y'all later. Bye now.
Thank you.
All right.